Hello everyone, I am Jaha Zainabu, and this is Storytime with Jaha Zainabu 31. Um, sorry, my throat is doing what it wants to be doing. And again, this is Storytime with Jaha Zainabu 31. It's a little late. Today is 4th of July, and I am just getting home. I'm not a 4th of July celebrator, really, but I'm pretty much down for a free plate. So, I had a really good gathering today, very intimate, a few friends, and we had seafood, and it was beautiful. And we had seafood and wine and good conversation. And I'm usually down for that. And so that's what today was. My random story is pretty much that. I'm glad to be home and safe and at peace. Today I am going to talk about poetic devices. I was actually going to talk about this yesterday, but yesterday was day 30, and I like to do I celebrate the story times every 10 days because that's a big deal to me. So for day 30, what did I do? I read instead of a random story, I started with a blog post of the topic was why I write. And I literally put in why I write in the search bar because I have so many posts about why I write. And I was just open to reading whatever came up. And what came up was, under why I write, was a story about me. It had to deal with depression. It had to deal with my first psychiatrist, and me writing through my my life at that time. I think the post was from probably 14, and during that time, I was really having a pretty bit of a not good go with depression at that time. I was really experimenting with the different cocktails that I was on, medicine wise. And so the cocktails just have you kind of spinning and doing flips until you're on the right cocktail. And so I talked about that, and it was my intention that that would go on for a few minutes, but it ended up taking the hour. No apologies for that, because whatever happens in these story times is what's supposed to happen. But today I want to talk about different poetic devices. Now, the story time from not yesterday, but the day before that, I guess 29, I talked about different kinds of poetry. And I did something that, and I did it on purpose because to show you that you can do this at home. You do not need a poetry teacher. You do not necessarily have to be in a poetry class. I do recommend being in classes because it's just a good way to bounce your ideas off of a professor and the other people in your cohort. So it's always a good idea there. But let's say you work every day and you work pretty long hours, and let's say you can afford to take a poetry class, either the money or the time. You can start where you are. You can Google different kinds of poetry. And that's exactly what I did. I did exactly that to show you that this is what you can do at home. And so today I am doing exactly that again. I literally Googled poetic literary devices. And I have taught literary devices for a long time, and I am going to use the literary devices that showed up on Google. I am going to use the examples for the most part. I think I added a few examples of my own, but for the most part, I am using the examples that show up on Google just to show you that you can start where you are. So I didn't do all of them. There aren't that many. There might be about maybe about 15 or 16 or something like that. If we go through all of them and that takes the hour, that's great. If it doesn't, my intention is to read from one of my ebooks, just to end the night with some peaceful poetry. So I'm going to jump right in. So here's the thing. Later on in future story times, I will go in depth into probably not all of them, but many of them, and give you more examples, give you examples of my own writing of using these devices. Today, I just want you to hear out loud the different poetic devices. See which one or ones grab you, like, I want to try that. And then I'd actually like you to try that. And many devices are devices that we use all the time, that we hear our mothers, our grandmothers, use, the preacher man or whatever, use all the time, especially devices like repetition, devices like similes and metaphors. It just sounds technical when you put a name to it, but when you hear the definitions, and I really am just going to read off the definitions as they're written, and with the ones that reach you and kind of grab you, like, hey, I want to try that, then I'd like you to try that. So like I said, later on, we have so this is day 31. We have over 300 days to go, so we have time, okay? And we'll go into more literary devices later. So let's jump in. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is alliteration. I love alliteration. But the definition, according to Google or Wikipedia or whatever I was looking at the other day, is a literary device that involves repeating the same initial consonant sound, like same singing song, like that. That's a device that we hear all the time. We either hear it very often or we have probably used it quite a bit. And we don't really know that we are actually using these devices. And then we hear that, oh, that has a name? Like that's a thing? Yes, that is a thing. Okay, assonance. Assonance is ASSONANCE. Assonance is repeating vowel sounds in nearby words. Example is the need for speed. So the vowel sounds, the EE, the need for speed. We hear things like that quite often. We probably just did not know that it was called that. But it's a thing that we have been doing, it's a device that we have been using. So, for those of you who do not call yourselves poet, but want to, okay, we're already doing it. All right. Onomatopoeia is something we've been doing. Okay, I'm going to read it before I go into it. So, an onomatopoeia is a device where a word imitates the sound it represents. For instance, bang, pop, boom, bam is onomatopoeia. We grew up using onomatopoeia when we were kids telling stories about a fight on the playground. Tommy shows up and he's like, pat, boom, pow, onomatopoeia. We have grown up seeing cartoons with pow and then the word pow on the screen, onomatopoeia. We are not new to this. We just did not know maybe that it was called an onomatopoeia, but it is. There you have it. Okay, and here's one that I know that you know, and maybe you didn't consider it poetic device, but guess what? It is one, boo. Rhyme. I don't have to tell you the definition of rhyme, but if you don't know, here goes. So, a rhyme, okay, when the end or final sound in two or more words or lines of poetry chime together. You know a cajillion examples of rhyme. So, rhyme, time, lime. We have been using rhyme as a poetic device since we started writing poetry. Probably, early elementary school, we learned what rhyming words are. I don't imagine that they would teach it as poetic device, but it is one. Okay, imagery. So again, listen, just as you're listening, listen for devices that you'd like to put into practice on purpose. Okay, imagery. So imagery is a literary device that uses vivid language to create a picture or idea in the reader's mind. So when you think imagery is you as the writer painting a picture. And you use things like the senses to create this picture. What do you smell? As a writer, like introduce smell, introduce what is there for the reader to hear, to feel, to touch. Be descriptive, like you are the painter painting this vivid picture. In teaching imagery, I like to suggest to writers that we show and not tell. So what do I mean by showing and not telling? Showing and not telling is eliminating words that only describe something in the writer's mind. Like if I said I had a beautiful day today. As the writer, I know what I mean by beautiful day. You have no idea. Except, you are only left to insert what is a beautiful day to you into that meaning, into me saying I had a beautiful day. So when I say today was beautiful, I am one who, I love a rainy day. I love a good thunderstorm. I love the lightning. I love the things that go along with the storm. A gentle storm. I'm still a California girl, okay? So, a gentle storm. But I love a gray day. I love sweater weather, okay? So when I say today was a beautiful day, that is a day that I am painting on this canvas. But unless I show you that, you don't know what I mean. So eliminating words like beautiful, fine, gorgeous, happy. Like, what does that look like? As the writer, use your license as writer, as creator, to show me in great detail what you mean. I remember I had an English teacher, I think in the 10th or probably 11th grade, and we weren't allowed to use the word thing, Thing, thing. So we couldn't use the word thing in essay, in even in conversational speech, even in questions. Even we could not use the word thing in the classroom, in that classroom, period, because she said everything has a name, so call it by its name. And if you don't know its name, describe it. Like, show me what you're talking about. And that stuck with me. And so when I use the word thing, I'm always caught in pause. Like, what am I trying to describe? What is the name of the thing? So with imagery, just use your license as creator to paint a vivid picture. Painting a vivid picture, an easy way to paint a vivid picture is through describing the senses, like I said. Okay. So like I said, I am just listing here. And all of this is, yes, everything here is what you can do at home. Everything. All that to say, you can do this at home right now, tonight. Okay, personification. The technical definition is a literary device that gives human characteristics to non-human entities, such as animals, objects, or ideas. Think Lion King. Personification. In a lot of writing prompts that I have given when I'm teaching a poetry class, I like to begin the class with a writing prompt. And one of the writing prompts that I often give, not this one specific, but I often use personification as a prompt. Like, I might have the students write for 7 minutes about a conversation between the frying pan and the fork, the frying pan and a stick of butter, a bottle of vegetable oil, a conversation between the spoon and the knife. You get where I'm going. So, giving human characteristics to non-human entities. Obviously, spoons and forks don't talk. That we know of. We don't know what happens when the drawer is closed. That we know of, they don't get down like that. So have them get down like that. Easy. Metaphor. We have been using metaphors long before we called them by their names. So a metaphor is a literary device that describes something by comparing it to something else. Okay, in other words, a metaphor compares two things that are different by stating that one is the other. Is the other, not is like it, but is the other. The dress is the bomb. Heart of gold. Like, it is that. So not like that, not is as that. So that is the distinction between a metaphor and a simile. And I think we'll get to similes later. The next one is enjambment. And enjambment, so if you're following, is ENJAMBMENT, enjambment. I use this often in poetry. Enjambment is it's a literary writing technique that continues a thought or an idea from one line to the next without punctuation. We do it all the time. Sometimes definitions sound so technical and official that we're like, that's hard to do. It's what we do all the time, boo. For me, I like to use, it's my personal style. It's not necessarily rule or certainly not really correct, but I like to, this is a Jaha thing. This is not a poetic rule, okay? Jaha, like to use capital letters at the beginning, even like in the enjambment. Like I am saying a poem and I get to what I have determined is the end of the first line of the stanza, and then I want to begin a new line, but that new line is not a new thought. That new line is a continuation of the first line. Even though that new line, this is me, Jaha, even though that new line is a continuation, I like to capitalize that line just because it's something that I like to do. Again, it is not necessarily the right thing to do. But break the rules you want to break is my thought. Yeah. I when I said that, I just had a thought and of people kind of coming at me for that. But really, it's your party. That's how I feel about it. I could be wrong, but it is how I feel about it. Consonants is the next one. Consonants is CONSONANCE, consonants. Now, this is a literary device that repeats consonant sounds within nearby words. Okay. And it's used to add rhythm or mood. An example, and this is an example that I actually pulled from Wikipedia. He hummed a calm, solemn hymn. And I like using the examples, from Google or Wikipedia because they're very basic. They're very I say them and you are probably like, oh, okay, got that, So again, I hope that you are following along and I hope that you are listening for a poetic literary device that you could be inspired to try. Even if it's something that you've done a million times before, the act of you trying it on purpose, knowing that it is a literary device, is significant. So let's try it. Even if you just take on, you know what, I'm going to, in my poem tonight, use rhyme. Fine. Great. I am going to use metaphor. Great. Okay, the next one is simile. Okay, now, and I like similes. Metaphors are my jam. Metaphors are my jam. That's one of my favorites. Simile is a very close second to metaphors, to me. So a simile is a literary device that compares two things using the actual words like or as. Brave as a lion. Crazy like a fox. You've heard that in sermons. You've heard that from your mama. You've heard that from your meemaw. You heard it, okay? Here's another one that probably needs no definition, but I'm going to give you one anyway. Repetition. You know what repetition is. But, so repetition is a literary device which is repeating a word, phrase, line, or stanza to emphasize a point. I'll repeat that because it's repetition. Got it? Repeating a word, phrase, line, or stanza to emphasize a point. I use repetition a lot. I like to, sometimes it's a way I like to end a poem. I have a lot of poems. I should have written that down. I have a lot of poems where I have used repetition. Sometimes I use repetition as a way to transition from one stanza to the next. There's no rule how or when you use repetition, but I say make it mean something. Don't just repeat because you can. I mean, you can, but I, as a general rule, don't like things that just don't have a purpose in the poem and being there. Like even when I use what we would call curse words, I don't just, and I do use that kind of language in poetry, but they are on purpose. I don't just say fuck shit damn and then the rest of the poem. I don't do that. If I say fuck shit damn, it means something right there. So let your repetition mean something right there. Allegory is a device that uses symbols or other hidden messages to reveal a deeper meaning. So, okay, an example, and this is the example literally that I pulled from Google, which I thought was a good one, though. So the example is in Animal Farm, which many of us have read. If not, read it. So in Animal Farm by George Orwell, the characters symbolize political figures. The police, the pigs were the cops. Read it. And if you haven't read it, you probably have heard of it. The next one is, it looks like we are going to get to some poetry tonight. I kind of like that. I was kind of hoping for that. Okay, so the next one is antithesis. So antithesis is a device that creates contrast between two opposing ideas or concepts. And the example that was given was give me liberty or give me death, which creates contrast between two different ideas. Symbolism. I like symbolism also. So symbolism is a device that conveys complex ideas, emotions, and themes through objects, characters, or events. So basically it's where one thing is meant to represent something else. Like red, the color red often represents love or passion. So one thing represents something else. The heart might represent love. You get it. You've done this. I don't know, I think sometimes people get hooked on when you add a definition to it. It's a real thing. So, ooh, it's scary. But it's not. It's the same thing that you've been doing. It's the same thing. Illusion. So, illusion is a device that involves a brief reference to something that exists outside the text. The example that was given was an Achilles heel to represent a fatal weakness, or Cupid's arrow, alluding to the classic mythology. So these are things that you've heard that, or you may have heard that you didn't know was a thing, was a poetic device. I'm going back to my English teacher's advice about not using thing. Like, I'm hooked. I mean, all these years, I'm still like, every time I say thing, it strikes a chord. Not a negative chord, but I just like envision this finger pointing. I don't say thing. Pun. We've heard no pun intended how many times? But a pun it's a play on words to create double meanings. The example that was given was, a hard-boiled egg is hard to beat. But it's usually humorous, not like hardy har 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 humorous, but kind of, hardy har 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 wink wink humorous. So that's pun. Mood. I like mood. So mood is the definition that is given for mood is the overall emotional tone created by a poem. So the mood can be cheerful or happy or dark, or you create it. Tone is another one. So tone is the author's attitude or emotional stance toward the subject matter. Now, it's important to know that it's how tone is how the author wants the reader to feel about the text. It is not necessarily how the author feels about about it, but how the author wants at that time the reader to feel. I could go on there. If you Google poetic devices or literary devices, a cajillion will come up. I just selected a few. I don't want to bombard you with definitions tonight, but check them out, because Google shall bless your life.
With new McValue at McDonald's, you'll get more than you expect.
Hush. Okay. And so will movies on YouTube. Bless your life. I'm going to read from Sweet Hallelujah for a little while because I want to, and because I rarely read from Sweet Hallelujah. And Sweet Hallelujah is a very, it's easy. It's like super easy reading. It's super easy feeling. It is, all of the language is clean, which I don't really like the word clean because it just sounds like something else is dirty. This poem is called Loving Me Easy Again. I am stronger than I thought I was. I am braver than before, more courageous and forgiving. I am more beautiful than I even dreamed. I am all this paint, these colors splashed easy up my skin. I am so much sun. Look how far I fly, way the clouds open up. See how red, how pink and blue. Feel all this flight I have inside of me. I am so student, so learn. I am so safe, so protected, so resting in the palm of God. I am so whisper, speak, and move. Let's verb together all night. Let's say all the words we have. Spill all out on the floor. The first to survive the night is winner of the hearts. Can you see how easy it is for me to fall in love all over again with a woman that I have become? Yeah. The next poem is called Time Taken Like Balm. I hopped on a bus today. I went for a ride. I listened to strangers, recorded the timbre of their laughter for later. I ear hustled their stories set in a library, a coffee shop. I opened my notebook, let the sun ooze on my back. I took time off today for me. Watch me survive this life and all of its challenges. Watch me escape the clouds this time. Watch me grow wings. Watch God catch me if I fall. See how together I am? Hear all the confidence in my voice. Watch my hand on my hip. Watch me, grown woman, so grown and good and God. See, Sweet Hallelujah is easy, right? Told you. This next poem is called Movement. Because peace can be celebrated, and easy ain't no punk. There is good in the world to document and share. There are hugs that go around. There are tears wiped from faces, smiles given. There are ears ready to listen, fingers standing by to separate clouds. There is calm in my head, love beckoning me to come indoors, to put down my tired legs, asking to hold me like I need, and quieting my soul so good. I hope that you're well. This poem is called This Prayer. Free writing is prayer. Poetry is spirit. It is space with ears ready to listen. Poetry is vault that will hold my secrets safe until I am ready to unshatter the slavery of my remembering. I can say anything. Do you have a friend like that? My grandmother used to end her prayers in the sweet name of Jesus to ensure they broke the clouds, and I understand. We feed the mouth of our devotion with practice. Poetry will hear me if I end my stanza in the name of Alice Walker, and so will God. I know. God is bless. God is forgive. God is keep me near the cross, forever connected to your will, to speaking your love. Father, save my life. Save my love. Mother, rub my head and strengthen my feet. Mother, thank you for words. Father, shape-shift these poems into prayers. Thank you for thump, for pound inside my heart. Turn these verbs into vapors sprayed across my bed. Turn these sonnets to sodas so that I sleep, so that I dream, so that I live the life you gifted me to live. I think what I like about this collection of poetry is that these are not poems that I ever read at an open mic. I'm not likely to get up at an open mic and just read that for no real reason. No real reason. I read a lot of social justice work, but ain't praise a revolution too. This next poem is called Forward. I took the sweetest walk today. I am a poet. It was not the sweetest walk, though it was sweet and a walk. I felt joy, or some kind of happiness, feeling my legs move, stretch out one in front of the other, the air feather easily down my lungs, my eyes, my fingers, my whole body, my holy body, keenly aware of my surroundings, the children on the schoolyard, the Mexican woman on the bus stop selling food. A dog passed me today. I kept walking. I felt some kind of love for that dog, even that dog I don't usually. I kept hearing the sounds and smelling morning air and food. I kept adjusting my shoulder back from one arm to the next. I like my things with me in case I choose to read while I am out. Perhaps take a picture of something peculiar, write a note, gloss my lips, send a text, I don't know. Maybe write some poems about nothing. These nothing poems, having some kind of love for the dog, even the walk to nowhere, are the sweetest poems I have. This next poem is called Time Change. I'm spending this week being quiet as I can, saying out loud old stories that no longer serve me, stories that never did. I am spending this week loving myself, spending time forgiving myself and others. I am the victim of no thing, of no one. I'm spending time this week being in love with myself, spending time letting go, being happy on purpose anyway, just because I am spending time this week changing my mind, freeing it from chains that held it bound. New again. I will sit here knowing how loved I am and how loved, how held, how God's breath I be. I am never alone. Even when I forget, I use my words and God's promises to remember. I speak life. I speak safety. I speak myself whole. I plant myself in the moment. I connect myself to spirit and then move and then wind and then go and then out into the world. I let my feet feel the ground. I remember that I am here. I am stay. I am walk. I am smile. I am thankful. Forgiven. I am human. I am hands that wave freely. I am heart that holds dearly. I am watch me move so free. I am watch me flower. Look how much I have grown. Look how much I know. Look how much smile I have for how much love that I am now. I like that. This is a good way to end the night. I mean, this is not the final poem, but I just wanted to end the night reading and not read poetry the whole hour, but just a bit. Days, Deadlines, Words is the name of this poem. Some days are reserved for words, letters carefully arranged and rearranged to create, recreate, to inspire and educate, words to dance to and stretch, words to remember, words to remind myself of myself, words and thoughts and musings to leave to my son, to share with the world, to recite or keep hushed. Words need emptying sometimes, need to escape my brain, words to rest on, to read, to hear, to run to, words to believe in. Yeah, nothing I've read so far would I just get up at an open mic and go, I'm going to share this today. And I love the poems. They're just not things that I would just read. I'm just not usually kind of in that space unless I'm at a church or something like that. Things to do today. I will love. I will wake up. I will stand. I will stretch and smile. I will tea. I will grits and eggs. I will toast with strawberry jam. I will paint red flowers, black family with 2 long limbs. I will water. I will children. I will write babies, race, justice, freedom fight. I will pray. I will sing. I will dance. I will wailing arms. I will bouncing buttocks. I will flying elbows, crisscrossed feet. I will move. I will remember. I will speak words, good, God, roots, sun, sun. I will wait. I will watch. I will believe. I will keep my side of the street clean as I can. I will breathe. I will laugh. Mouth so wide open, belly shake so funny. I will hands slap knees that pop. I will happy. I will cloud. I will walk so far and long with so much work to do, with so much ease and light in my soul. I am like scrolling and skipping poems. No, not that one. Tonight. Tonight, I can only rainbow and butterfly. I can son, nephew, and niece. I can laugh tonight a little. A little can be enough. I can sleep enough. I can be all the cliches about love, but I cannot war on any level tonight. So in one of the, I just noticed this, in one of the story times I talked about how you can read from the bottom of a poem and go from the bottom up. So I'm going to read that poem again tonight from the top down. So just listen. The poem again from the top down is, I can only rainbow and butterfly. I can son and nephew and niece. I can laugh a little. A little can be enough. I can sleep. I can be all the cliches about love. I cannot war on any level tonight. So now hear it from the bottom up. Tonight, not on any level, I cannot war. I can be all the cliches about love. I can sleep. A little can be enough. a little. I can laugh. I can son and nephew and niece. I can only rainbow and butterfly tonight. Do you hear that from the bottom up and how they both work? Try that with your work. Try it and see. This poem is called Choice. Today I choose gratitude. In the face of voices rife with ridicule, the news, social media, I choose love. The incense burning in my room, the books staring back at me, the lotion corkboard, the camera. These are the things. This is the audience to my boldest poetry. About self-love, about babies, about touch, about water, about what a woman wants, about pictures of my face just because the lamp, the flowers, red, purple, and yellow, the scarves, clock, fan, these are the listeners of my prayers. Memories of my father, the first man to hold my hand, my baby feet skip to catch his church-shoed gait. I wish I could talk to him now. I wish I could smell the liquor from his breath. I wish I could pay attention to the words I once ignored. These things, alive, these hats, these photos. I painted that picture of the little brown girl with the pink dress. She has no face, but large hands. She has skinny legs and tiny ears. She is beautiful. She is misunderstood. She is steady. She is difficult. She is moody. She is amazing. She reminds me of myself. The calendar on my wall, the chair, the bag of makeup, lip gloss, blush, nail polish. Even the rug is captivated by my stories out loud, sticky with promise and tears and voice and fists. The ceiling, even the ceiling, the fly on the wall. I am open with forgiveness. I am empty of regrets. I am hopeful for tomorrow. I have fears folded in my jeans. I am afraid to let go. All these ancestors breaking through my bones. Today, I am the owner of my mind, my feelings, my thoughts. I choose easy today. I choose slow breathing and mint tea today. I choose gratitude and smile today. I choose rest and reach. I choose kindness, choose love and me. This poem is called Cheers. Cheers to the moment, to myself for holding hope for tomorrow, for being brave enough to show up for today, to thoughts drifting to babies and bunnies. Here's to reminding myself over and over to focus on the now. Here's to the now, to my chin above water. Shout out to silence, to meditating on easy and peace, to not knowing what the end gonna be. Here's to my feet every step of the way. Wouldn't take nothing for my journey now. I am enough for right now. I have enough for this moment. I am a swimmer. I am a survivor. Are you? I am a prayer. I am a whisper, a tear. I have no limitations. Here's to the woman in my mirror, to spirit who connects me to all, to my feet on the ground. Hallelujah for the pillow under my head. Prayers for a quiet mind to sleep, for a cool bed on a hot night, and a sheet over my shoulder. This is for breath, for the concern in my gut, for the heavy in my listening. This is for the layers that I am. Okay, here's one that I don't even remember. I don't know where this is going, but let's see. Let's go there together. This poem is called 1:18 a.m. Let's jump in. I don't know what was happening at 1:18 a.m. I am at home, thankful for life, thankful that the universe is always lining situations together so that they fit tight, as my grandmother's pearl necklace she wore with her white dress on first Sundays. I am thankful for friends I call family who live 10 minutes away and just drop by. I am thankful for hugs in the middle of the night, because when is a better time for embrace? I am thankful. I am cared for so deeply. Thankful for being home for an early and long day tomorrow. Thankful for good rest, for being safe and home and in my bed. Okay, journal entry poem. Okay, I see you. I see you, Jah. This poem is called Easy Motion. I will go to market at day for bread and rice, for fruit and peas. I will push basket, paint my lips red bright, wear my skirt short. I will sing songs from long time yester. I will skip down aisles. I will pretty through candy. I will pink and soft along the yogurt and milk. I will make event of going to market by myself, but I am never alone. I'm going to start reading from this book, even at like open mics. And I don't even read at open mics often. I don't remember the last one I was at, but I'm going to start because we need we need easy poems. We need just a poem to just that just says, I'm thankful for this day, you know? Anyway, this poem is called This Now. And maybe this will be the last one. And maybe not. Who knows? In this moment, sitting in my car, windows down, easy gray day, my favorite days, birds singing, one man, only one man, walking on the quiet street, slow gait, tree branches hanging low, one car, only one car, passes slowly by, trash cans lined near the curbs. Beware of dog signs. I see no dogs, just signs. Another van and more birds barking. I finally see and hear dogs to beware. Airplane above, above. I am reminded to look above, because there is more than just this ground. I don't know. I'm just looking for a different one to end. I did like that, but I'm looking for, and no one in particular, just, okay, here's something sweet. Like, this is see why I call this collection the vegan option? Because it's just like easy. And you can't find one that's like, nobody's a bitch or nothing. So this poem is called Sweet Sweet, and we'll end on this. Sweet Sweet. I bought flowers today to remind myself how orange, how pink and green and girl, how woman I am, how dazzling I be, so that when I wake up, petals first thing I see, I will remember myself soft and pretty, because it can be easy to forget. It can be. And sometimes you have to say sweet things to yourself, because sometimes if you don't say sweet things to yourself, sometimes you won't hear them. Thank you for today. Thank you for listening. This was Storytime with Jaha Zainabu 31. See you tomorrow, friends. Take care.